here are the running back rooms we got here ranked on the Midwest Blitz. As you can see, there's one running back room in particular that's not on the list. They are big fans of the show. It's the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Ohio State. Nick, take it away.
So, Coach Drew, the Ohio State Buckeyes did not make our top five running back rooms in the Big Ten this year, and here's why. We ran a lot of numbers on this. This isn't like a favorite logo on the helmet or a favorite team colors. My Hoosiers are not ranked number one. They're not ranked number one in a lot of these categories that we're going to continue to push out here for you guys. Ohio State's not ranked for this reason, Coach Drew. In our Big Ten composite rankings last year, which took into account how effective you were on critical down and distances, how effective you were against the best teams on your schedule, Ohio State was ninth in the Big Ten in our Big Ten run game composite rankings. These are some of the numbers we took into account. Ohio State was number 13 in the Big Ten in yards per carry versus ranked opponents. They were number 8 in yards per game versus Big Ten opponents. They were number 7 in yards per carry on first down, and they were number 6, tied for number 6 on third and short conversions. And so we're not questioning talent in this Ohio State backfield, but what I did to try and figure out who had the best quarterbacks, who had the best running backs, all this, what me and Coach Drew worked on. Sorry, Coach Drew, I didn't mean to say it was all me. But the numbers that we crunched on this do not have Ohio State being effective with the game on the line in any game. Obviously, they have the best wide receiver, possibly the best quarterback in college football going into 2026, but they didn't make the top five because last year their run game was least effective and least reliable when it mattered the most. And we're talking about, obviously the end of season games against good defenses, great defenses, top tier defenses like Indiana and Miami. But that's not the only time that they weren't effective. Like I said, they were number 13 in the Big Ten in yards per carry versus ranked opponents. The good news is, number one, in my opinion, this is not a question of talent or ability. It's more of a question of strategy and scheme issue. You got a new offensive coordinator. You got Arthur Smith. You got Arthur Smith, who's an NFL guy, and I always say this at any level of coaching, for the most part, Drew. I mean, nothing's 100% accurate, but you get a guy that's worked at the pro level for a long time, and then you bring him down to a lower level. Typically, that guy's got more insight about how to tweak the engine of a great car. Not to totally rehaul it. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sayin are going to be the engine that makes this Ohio State offense run. I think a lack of commitment early in the season in games they knew they could win passing the ball kind of made the production at the end of the year, when you got into the championship round, so to speak, we like to use boxing analogies, if you weren't running it in short yardage against Washington, against Minnesota or whoever, you think you're going to get into crunch time as a play caller and be like, oh, we're running the A-gap on third and short. And that's not what the Buckeyes did last year. Other good news for the Buckeyes, besides Arthur Smith coming in as the OC, is you got Bo Jackson and Isaiah West returning in the backfield. So, again, you got athletes, you got talent. The one thing that's a drawback, Coach Drew, back to the OC and the returning running backs, is that West and Jackson are going to miss spring ball because they both are having shoulder surgery in the offseason. Good news is they'll be healthy by the time the season starts, but they won't get physical reps in spring ball. But I would think that Ryan Day, is great a coach as he is going to have those guys on the field observing, in the film room and watching and observing all the mental reps that they need to be ready when the season comes. But my main question for Ohio State this season, not just with the running backs, because I don't question the running backs, I question the usage and the commitment to the run game. Can Arthur Smith retool this run game in a way that is to Ryan Day's liking? And Drew, for guys that are new to the Midwest Blitz, you can back me up on this. I think Ryan Day is one of the best football coaches in America without a doubt. I think he's top 3, if not number 1, number 2. But can Smith retool the run game and get Day to commit to establishing the run on early downs and make it work this season? Because I think ultimately, if you want to win a national championship, which the Buckeyes do want to win a national championship, winning a national championship is the only thing Ohio State cares about besides beating the team up north. Coach Drew?
Yeah. One of the things I want to say about Arthur Smith is he's with running backs, as Bijan Robinson was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons while he was there. Now, unfortunately, he was also criticized for underutilizing Bijan Robinson. So that does call for some concerns, right? But I will say this. It's not the NFL. It is college. It's a little bit different, right? Plus, he does have Smith there to catch the ball in the red zone. These things for Ohio State are going to be crucial moving. Does he let Bo Jackson 2.0 get the ball and run with it? Does Isaiah West go north and south? What happens with Arthur Smith back there is my main concern. Because if he can't do it, they are literally, and we were talking about this earlier about the wide receiver coach calling plays.
I do think that Arthur Smith is, in my mind at least, and the mind of a lot of people who I respect, is a better play caller than what just went out the door, despite the fact that he was a beloved Buckeye as a player and all that. So I honestly see this trending up next year because Ryan Day's not replacing coordinators. He's not shy about replacing anybody, including perceived star players, to the portal or anything else. Day's not bringing Arthur Smith in because he expects to have a downgrade. And I trust Ryan Day. And the only thing that I would add to this is that this 2026 schedule is going to be a bear for the Buckeyes. But if any team in college football can navigate a monster schedule, it's the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yes, sir. So now we're going to head over to our list, the Midwest Blitz running back room ranking, and we're going to start off with, at the top, the Oregon Ducks. Go ahead, Nick.
So the Oregon Ducks have our number 1 ranking in 2026 running back rooms in the Big Ten. They were ranked number 1 in our composite rankings for strength of rushing offense in 2025, which is based on how you did in key down and distance and how you did against your most difficult opponents. Look, Coach Drew, as we talk about all the time here, it's not all flash and Nike money up there in Oregon. Dan Lanning believes in smash mouth football and running the rock. That's how he establishes his offense, despite the athletes that they have. Last year, wide receivers were injured. And despite the fact that other Big Ten teams, defensive coordinators were licking their chops at all these injured wide receivers that they had in Eugene, Oregon still just pounded the ball down everybody's throat for the majority of the year. Look, Oregon lost Noah Whittington to graduation, and they also lost a few guys in the portal, which when I went to work on this and talk to Coach Drew about it, I'm like, holy crap, you lost Whittington, you lost Lemar, you lost Harris, you lost Hughes. Look, number 1, Mekhi Hughes leaving in the portal doesn't matter anyway because he wasn't good enough to crack the 4 or 5 deep running back rotation that Lanning was going to throughout the season. He decided to pack his bags and leave. That's good. The transfer of Lemar, Coach Drew, with Davison breaking his collarbone going into the Indiana game in the college football playoff, I thought really screwed Oregon. I mean, timing's timing, and as they say, the calendar is the calendar in college football right now. But with Lemar and Harris gone out the door with Davison being hurt, I think it handicapped Oregon going into the Indiana game. But you have back, Coach Drew. You got Jordan Davison. You got Dyer Hill. That's thunder and lightning. It's the ultimate thunder and lightning combination in college football this year. Both of them had over 650 yards rushing last year, 20 combined touchdowns. I think 15 of them for Davison. But more than exact numbers of yards and whatnot, I believe Dyer Hill, I don't have it written down, averaged over close to 7 yards a carry after contact last season, which is insane. This is the guy, we've said this about a couple guys before, but it serves true for him. Get athlete in space is Dyer Hill. If you get this guy in space, he's a video game player. I think last year with running back injuries down the stretch and transfer portal stuff, he got put in some situations like on third down pass protection that he wasn't ready for. This guy was a freshman last year, Coach Drew, as was Davison. But Davison as a freshman looks like a grown-ass man, Coach Drew. He's about 6 foot, 240 pounds. This guy's like a bowling ball. Power back with speed. I do want to say, returning also, DeJuan Riggs. Don't sleep on Riggs. He's in his third year in this Oregon program, and if Lanning didn't see him having a chance to contribute, as most Power 4 coaches do, he could have told him, look, kid, we enjoyed your time here, but we'll find you somewhere to go play at a lower level. They haven't done that with Mr. Riggs. I think Riggs next year, after being in this weight program, being in this offense for a few years, might be a big contributor. That being said, this is why this is the deepest, most versatile backfield in America next year is Tredarian Ball, Coach Drew. We talked about Tredarian Ball. Tredarian Ball out of Texas High School in Texarkana, Texas. You know why they call it Texas High School, Coach Drew?
Why do they call it Texas High School, Nick?
Because it's on the Texas-Arkansas state line. And you Arkansas people need to understand which side of the state line you're on right now. Tredarian Ball understands that. That's hard-nosed. That's hard-nosed football country down there. Tredarian Ball, when you watch the film as a patient back with one-cut ability and a burst on the second level, you think when he makes that one cut, gets north and south, that you're like, oh, he's at full speed. Then somebody's got an angle on him and he clicks it into the next gear and just runs by you. Another guy, Coach Truth, they got coming in who's listed as a running back, Brandon Smith out of Central East High School in Fresno, California, a terrific high school linebacker. When I went to watch this kid's film thinking, oh, I'm watching running back film, watch this kid play linebacker at a high level. He's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. He's a physical, high IQ football player that honestly could play a lot of spots, could play special teams. I'm not relegating Mr. Smith to special teams right now. He's going to be a contributor in this Oregon program because he's an all-around football player, and you need guys like that on your football team. You also have a transfer in Simeon Price out of Colorado, who's a 6-year guy, adds a veteran presence in this room because look at all the running backs in and out the door in Oregon over the last couple of years. Whittington graduated as a senior last year. You got Davison and Hill were freshmen last year. So I think it's a smart move to have Simeon Price come in from Colorado, who could be like a glue guy, might help you on third down, might help you in situations, helps tutor these guys who are only true sophomores, who might be your number one, number two backs. This is the deepest, most versatile running back room in America. I know if you watch SEC ESPN, they're not going to tell you that. But the grass is damn green in Eugene, Coach Drew, right now. The running game in Oregon is going to be insane next year.
I mean, you look at the two quarterbacks they have, even the backup quarterback you want to play for. I mean, they're deep over there in Eugene. I mean, for the most part, their only two losses, I believe, and their only two losses last year really came against no other than the national champions. So, like, if they didn't have to play Indiana, who knows? Oregon might be hosting it, you know?
You know what else I forgot? What else I forgot is I was watching Penn State film, and Dante Moore was effective in the running game. You're not going to make Dante Moore into like a primary carries guy, but dude,
this team is stacked.
The scheme and the personnel, yes. This is a stacked running game. There's not a defense in America that's going to come in and not be frightened the night before the coaching staff in thinking about stopping the run against these guys. So the number 2 ranked team on our 2026 running back projections is the Indiana Hoosiers. So Indiana was ranked 3rd in our 2025 composite rankings for rushing offense, which is based on what you did in critical down and distance and what you did against the best teams on your schedule. Indiana played the hardest strength of schedule seeing as how they went all the way in the college football playoffs, our champion Hoosiers. Look, let's look at what IU did on offense last year. You had Heisman Dosa at quarterback, obviously, but Sig's first priority on offense is to ground and pound and establish the run and get physical with you on the line of scrimmage. He has the backs and offensive line to do exactly that this year, just like he did last year. You guys, Hoosiers, you lost Kalon Black and Roman Hemby over 2,000 yards rushing last year, but you have more back than you might think. You got Kobe Martin back. He'll be a sophomore out of Fishers High School. Got a ton of game experience last year. Over 500 rushing yards, Coach Drew. Probably the fastest, most explosive back in this group. But that's not to say that we don't have other backs. And we have other backs that are more experienced. No disrespect meant towards Turbo Richard and Lee Beebe. Turbo Richard out of Boston College transferred is a great pickup. Great runner between the tackles. I think that his running style is very similar to Kalon Black in terms of power and shiftiness, ability to move the hips, lower the shoulder, wiggle between the tackles. Richard, as we've said previously, is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. Signetti's not really done a lot of passing to running backs out of the backfield, but Richard has that skill set in his toolbox. And last but not least, Lee Beebe returns from injury last year. He looked really good as a Hoosier last year. Before an injury against Indiana State, he had over 200 yards in 3 games in a 3-man rotation with Black and Hemby. So this is a guy that Signetti really likes. He had over 1,200 yards at UAB before he transferred to Indiana. So you've got 2 backs in Beebe and Richard who have seen a ton of experience as a lead running back at other schools, and then Martin, who was recruited here. We hear a lot about transfer portal, Coach Drew, with Indiana. Oh, all their good players are transfer portal guys. Well, A, that's not really true. Carter Smith, All-American left tackle returning, was not a transfer portal guy. But you got Kobe Martin that this coaching staff brought in. This guy is a big league level running back. He's got 2 veterans in the room with him. This is a deep running back group that is going to run behind the top offensive line, not in the Big Ten, but in the country. This is by far the top returning run blocking offensive line. You got 3 good backs who are well coached in a system with a line that can open holes. The Indiana Hoosiers might run their way back to the Big Ten title game next year, Coach Drew. In fact, they might run their way to the college football playoff and make a big run there again. Don't want to make any huge predictions here in the early preseason, but this Indiana run game is going to be stacked.
I mean, some might say they might turbo their way to a championship. BB. See what I did there? It's like a Mad Lib with running backs at Indiana. I mean, fill in fun names. I mean, we did have Black and Hembe. I mean, that would have been fun last year if we would have done that. I don't know. But I will say this, though. We do got Turbo Richards, who looks to have a breakout. This guy looks like exactly what you just lost, and now you got that. BB is going to come there and come back from injury and just do damage, honestly. I mean, that's what they do. They're going to hand the ball off. Josh Hoosier is going to make sure they get the ball. I'm excited.
Yeah, the Indiana offense, as we've talked about in other videos, not to dwell on other position groups while we're talking about running backs, you might not upgrade at quarterback. Your quarterback won the Heisman last year. You might not upgrade at receiver. You lost 2 to the NFL, but you've got depth back in the running back room and on the offensive line that sets the quarterbacks and receivers up for success. We're obviously did another video on quarterbacks, and we got another one about wide receivers coming out. The Hoosiers are going to run the hell out of the ball again in 2026. I think that the run game production might be better this year in Bloomington than it was last year, despite losing 2,000 yards out of your top 2 backs.
Those are some money ball stats right there. How to replace production. We're not only going to replace it, but we're going to double it and pass it to the next guy. Well, the next team that we're going to talk about here, let's just say we knew when they were going to run the ball, but things are going to take a different turn this year. Less conservative, more aggression? Question mark. Go ahead, Nick.
So the Michigan Wolverines come in at number 3 on our rankings for top running back rooms in 2026 preseason. They were second in our 2025 composite rankings for rushing effectiveness amongst Big Ten running back rooms. Look, you got Jordan Marshall back, over 900 yards and 10 touchdowns last year. A back with patient vision, jump cut ability, and runs his feet through contact effectively on the goal line. Coach Drew, a lot of people that played football and watched a lot of football, we've seen running backs that just like get held up and they drive their feet, but they don't go anywhere. That's not Marshall. Marshall has a feel for contact and leverage on the goal line that's been very effective for the Wolverines. He was also splitting carries last year with Justice Haynes, who was a home run hitter early in the year, especially before he got before he got hurt. Haynes is gone, and it's not going to matter. With Haynes, it was a little bit of feast or famine. You know, he might have 20 carries and then 50 of them were on one run. With Marshall and then returning Bryson Kuzdal, we're going to get to the freshman here in a second, guys, in case you're waiting. But with Kuzdal, he had over 300 yards, former walk-on from Forest Hill Eastern High School. He dipped his toe in the portal, but decided to return once he met with Whittingham and his staff. This guy adds depth, character, leadership, and work ethic to the Michigan running back room. Kuzdal, a guy that wants to be a Michigan man. And you need that. Well, you want that. I want that at my favorite team school. I'll say that. Kuzdal back. And then last but not least, the very highly touted Xavion Hyder, All-American 5-star prospect, Coach Drew. We often mock recruiting stars on this show, but Hyder has earned all 5 of his recruiting stars out of Louisa High School in Virginia. This guy earned all 5 of his stars. He's got Gale Sayers moves in the open field, blazing breakaway speed, and he will hit you like a hammer at the line of scrimmage. And Coach Drew makes fun of me for being like Ron Burgundy and Anchorman and just like saying all this shit. You guys are probably watching the clips right now. This is no joke. Xavion Hyder is the real deal. I watch more football than you do. If you're watching this and you think you watch more football, more high school football, more youth football, more middle school football, more any football, you probably don't. Tell me in the comments if you think you do. Michigan Mitch told me high hopes for Xavion Hyder. Michigan Mitch, friend of the show, he said, well, he plays against mid-level high school in Virginia, so we're not sure about it. Mitch, I'm sure about it, and you're going to be sure about it next year and the next couple of years when you see him in the Big Ten. This kid is not messing around. Coach Drew, when he breaks a long run, when he could just run around you to the corner and get up the sideline, he kind of just like slow plays it so he can juke the dude out and cut back across. He's like a lion or a tiger playing with his food. And at 6 foot and about 200 pounds, pre-getting to Michigan in a Big Ten weight program, Xavion Hyder has got NFL written all over him. I want to say this, Coach Drew. We've talked about we're ranking running backs right now, but let's factor in run game effectiveness in scheme. Offensive coordinator Jason Beck from Utah, which will be a godsend to the Wolverines. I said that as soon as they brought Whittingham in. We talked about it. Guys who've been watching the show know it. With Jason Beck coming in to call plays and install scheme and offensive line coach Jim Harding, the holes are going to be there for these running backs, and the opportunities for Bryce Underwood to contribute to the running game as a quarterback in RPO, not just like the in-the-pocket type RPO, Coach Drew, but we're going to move the top pocket, get you on the edge, and then see what the defense does and then make a correct decision. Run game production this year from Bryce Underwood is going to go up by a lot. And just like to throw this number out there, in 2025, Utah had 2 quarterbacks, one that was a freshman that they just mixed in who was a good runner. They had over 1,800 yards of rushing production out of their quarterbacks. And I know there's Michigan fan out there who's like, we don't care what Utah did last year. You should care because your offense last year basically sucked. I'm being honest with you. The offensive concepts you guys ran sucked. Beck is going to put Underwood in a better position to be successful with scheme, with the ability to at least threaten with his legs. His rushing numbers are going to go way up this year. Underwood, Marshall, and Hyder are going to thrive in this offense under Beck and with a good offensive line coach. If you watch the offensive lineman at Utah when Jim Harding was there, the footwork that they had and the hand placement they had is next level. Taking quarterback run into account, Coach Drew, I think Michigan could be the top rushing offense in the Big Ten this year, potentially. But we're just really talking about running backs right now. But I thought Michigan fans might be interested to hear what Harding and Beck are going to bring to this offense besides just, Kuzdal and Marshall coming back and Xavier Hyder, which Michigan fans already know about Xavier Hyder. This is going to be a tear-it-up offense, especially with all the offensive line talent coming back that Michigan has. Drew?
There's going to be a lot that they need to do in this running game to stay consistent from last year, especially to keep Bryce Underwood going. And I'm excited to see that.
Oh, yeah.
I think they can get it done, definitely with the new additions. We're going to see exactly if when Michigan did go to the national championship and the year after, which, we all know what happened. But I will say this, through this process, they always dominated the run game.
Yeah.
So there is truth to that. They just now have Bryce Underwood, who's also a really good quarterback. Once he starts slinging that thing, as they would love to see it this year, that run game is going to, as we say, time to level up.
Well, it's kind of like we said about Iowa. We think Iowa's passing game might be better this year, which will help an already effective rushing game. I think that it's the teeter-totter effect. When you threaten run pass with Underwood, who has all the skills to beat you from the pocket, but you allow him more freedom to loosen defenses up with a good running game under center and from the gun, handing it off, and then you move him around effectively with effective scheme and concept. I just felt like he was let down last year, and it kind of upset me to see the kid. People were criticizing him when I know that he has the physical ability. He seems like he's got character. He's a worker. I just think that, the coaching staff at Michigan last year, at least the head coach, had other things going on that he was concerned about. And Underwood's going to get he's going to have a better chance to be successful this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that takes us to our next state. If you build it, they will come. And that's exactly what we're going. We're going to Iowa, Nick.
Is this heaven? No. It's Iowa. Iowa comes in number 4 in our Big Ten running back room projection for 2026. Look, run game's nothing new in Iowa. The Hawkeyes ranked really well last year in all of our composite rankings for Big Ten rushing effectiveness, which we took into account what you did on crucial down and distance, what you did against the best teams on your schedule. Look, Jazz Patterson transferred, Terrell Washington transferred, and Mark Gronowski graduated. These are significant losses for the Hawks. The thing that's interesting when I look at this, Coach Drew, before we get it, Kamari Moulton and Williams and McNeil coming back, and then we'll get to the portal kid here in a second, is that the number 1 rushing option in the red zone was Mark Gronowski. Well, he's 6'1", 235. He might not squat 6 million pounds, but he might squat 5 million pounds, Gronowski. The hit that he took from the strong safety last year will live in my mind forever. But you lost your main red zone rushing threat, which was Gronowski. You got Kamari Moulton back. Mr. Reliable, 850-plus yards. I love Kamari Moulton. I texted friend of the show, Hawkeye Todd, how much I love Kamari Moulton a couple times. He didn't respond to me. I'm not sure if that's a tacit endorsement or a disagreement. I don't know. He's from Iowa. He's very polite. I love people from Iowa, even though people from Iowa hate people from Iowa State and vice versa. We talk about this a lot here on the Midwest Blitz. Xavier Williams is back. He played 10 games, had almost 300 yards, so he's got experience. McNeil had 9 games, got some experience. We're not sure how much production, but at least you have experience coming back with McNeil and Williams. But you got LJ Phillips from South Dakota, Coach Drew, and I know a lot of people haven't watched any film on LJ Phillips from South Dakota. So I went ahead and obliged them and watched some film on LJ Phillips. This guy's 5'9", 225. He's a fucking bowling ball. He absorbs contact and runs through anything you throw at him very well. It's okay to laugh, Coach Drew. It's late, guys. We're doing this. We're doing this because we care about the Big Ten. We care about running backs. And we care about the state of Iowa. Look, LJ Phillips is durable. He had 295 carries last year, Coach Drew. Now, for comparison, Mr. Reliable, which I dubbed him, Kamari Moulton, had 170 carries. I'm not very good at math. I do math with crayons. Coach Drew coaches the chess club. I'm not sure what percentage we're going off of there, but Mr. Phillips, whether he was playing FCS, FBS, or Chinese League, Canadian League, 295 carries is a hell of a lot of carries. This guy is, his lower half is built ready to run into the line of scrimmage on inside zone, outside zone, on the goal line, perimeter run. He's not slow. Drew, we talked about this when we talked about Iowa transfer portal, and we talked about the receivers, and we talked about getting FCS guys. There's a strategy that you said it better than I did, but tell us about your thoughts on getting LJ Phillips in there and just the overall strategy for Iowa going into next season.
Man, it sounded like you were selling me some batteries right there, the way you're talking about Phillips. Durable, reliable, long-lasting. I mean, that's kind of like how you could describe some of these FCS players. These FCS players are coming over here. Some of their teams are actually going up to the FBS, the stuff that we talk about here on the Midwest
Climbing
Blitz.
the ladder.
Climbing up the ladder. I mean, we got South Dakota coming. Or is it North Dakota? One of the Dakotas are coming.
There's a lot of Dakotas, Coach Drew.
There is. And they're coming up. And we talked about them, especially when we were talking about the transfers coming in. I mean, look at JMU last year. Okay? A lot of people said they shouldn't be in the college football playoffs.
A lot of people said that a team from JMU couldn't move to the Big Ten and make a bowl game.
Ironically, if that was the case, why would their head coach in his second year win a national championship? Why would a person who's trying to find hope again as a coaching career go there to take over that job? And last but not least, if these small FCS teams don't matter or why are they not good, then why are all their players when they hit the transfer portal like gold? That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Coach Drew, there's been a high success rate amongst smart Power 4 coaches getting guys from the FCS level and from the G5 level, and that's what KF and this coaching staff have done this year. And when you tie in getting a workhorse like Phillips in with a guy like Moulton who's reliable, a good every down back, with the fact that this Iowa offense should continue to evolve in the passing game a little bit, I think that they will keep defenses a little more off balance with Lester having an all-new wide receiver group in there, with George Barnett, the offensive line coach, who obviously turns out a positive product every year. Look, obviously Iowa State won the award for the best offensive line of the year last year. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. We loved watching that offensive line group with Jennings Dunker and the group. Went more balance in the passing game with the run game is going to make this Iowa running game more effective. And honestly, Coach Drew, as we talked about, it's going to remove congestion from the box. And that's what Iowa did last year, which I think is what, in my mind, won them the Joe Moore Award is, it's 3rd and 1. There's 9 guys in the box. The defense knows what play we're going to run. Pow! We run it anyway, and we pick up a first down. I saw John Gruden, Coach Drew, a coach that you know that I love, and he was talking about situations the other day, and he said, I tell my running backs in training camp, you know what a good run on 3rd and 1 is? It's get 1 yard and get a first down. Now, that sounds like Captain Obvious, but that's what Iowa was able to do even when defense loaded the box last year. I think this year, with Vanderzee, with some of the receivers they got in, with this passing game evolving, I think that you're going to have less downs where you've got to run for it on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 with 9 guys in the box. There might be 8 guys in the box, hopefully 7 guys in the box. But I've got Iowa as number 4 because I think this is going to be a more balanced offense. And it's a run game that's been well coordinated for years with a great offensive line coach in Barnett.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say it better than that. If you want to head over to Penn State, where we might hear Mo Bamba playing here in a second.
The Happy Valley might be happy again next year, Coach Drew. We know Mo Bamba will be playing there. Look, last year's stats don't matter much, but Penn State was ranked 7th in our 2025 composite rankings that were based on how you did in critical down and distance and against the best opponents on your schedule. And against the best opponents on their schedule, the Nittany Lions were pretty good last year. Is some of the lesser opponents on their schedule that they weren't as good against, but that doesn't matter because the Matt Campbell era begins without Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. So what will this run game look like in 2026? All right, number 1, let's talk about the Iowa State people that are coming in. Carson Hansen, 950 yards in 2025, a solid pass catcher out of the backfield. Look, Carson Hansen, he plays the way he looks, Coach Drew. This is a physical runner that deals out contact rather than absorbing contact or running around it. This kid runs hard, and he knows Taylor Mauser's offense. He's not the only back in this offense, obviously. We're going to get to that, but he's a guy who's physical, and that was Iowa State football under Matt Campbell. Something I really enjoyed was there was good passing game. They had some very highly touted wide receivers that went in the NFL out of Iowa State under Matt Campbell, but at the base of it was physicality, and Hansen brings that with him from Iowa State to Happy Valley. The other guy, Coach Drew, who I'm excited about at Penn State is James Peoples, a guy we talked about last year at Ohio State at the end of the year. Who
We do love James Peoples.
Slowly had downhill number of carries, game appearances, productions. James Peoples is a guy who was the number 7 back in his class. James Peoples is a guy who got lost in Ohio State's pass first, 1 running back offense. And I'm going to expand on that here in a second. James Peoples is a great athlete that any coach would be happy to have on his team. This is what Ryan Day does at Ohio State. Penn State people, bear with me. Ohio State people probably already turned this off. When Ryan Day gets a new guy who's fast and makes some big plays, they've got 3-4 running backs who are good enough to contribute in games. But he goes, this guy's the home run hitter. This guy gets all the carries now. That's Bo Jackson this year. That's Henderson a couple of years ago. Dude, Henderson's balling in the NFL right now. I'm not criticizing Bo Jackson or Henderson for getting the carries, but in college football, especially in college football, you need more than 1 running back that can contribute. And Ohio State has passed on James Peoples. I think that was a mistake. Penn State got a good pickup here. And don't forget Quentin Martin, who had 100 yards in the Pinstripe Bowl last year. Quentin Martin returns. That's a guy who wants to be in Happy Valley, wants to be a Nittany Lion. And that helps you roster build. It helps you culture build, Coach Drew, when you've got returning guys who can mesh in with these new guys who are contributors. So you're not turning a Big Mac into a Whopper, if that makes sense. Like, it's still Penn State that we've got to win games this year. So we bring in transfer guys. This, something that goes on in all of college sports now, not just football. But Matt Campbell's toughness-driven approach is going to apply here in the run game this year. That's why, despite losing so many players, I have Penn State as number 5 on the most productive running back rooms of 2026, because Matt Campbell, like Curt Cignetti, like Dan Lanning, believes in balanced offense. Balanced offense, America, means we're going to run the freaking ball. It doesn't mean, well, we're going to throw it and we might just run it here and there. Matt Campbell will run the ball. Matt Campbell understands that if and when you have a talent deficit, this fight in the trenches balances that out. It forces teams to respect you at the line of scrimmage. That's why I like Matt Campbell as a coach. It's why me and Coach Drew endorsed him when Penn State hired him, because he doesn't need 83 million five-star athletes to win a game. He understands how to use advantage, disadvantage, leverage at the line of scrimmage and the secondary. Campbell's going to run the football. Hansen's going to be good. Peoples is going to be good if they stay healthy. I expect a high level of production out of this group in 2026, Coach Drew.
I mean, let me just start with this. Can I say I'm excited for James People getting an opportunity to run the football?
Yes.
They were the running back room for the Nittany Lions. We're actually talking about this a lot in Dynasty football and just the football room in general. The Penn State running backs were who we thought they were with Notre Dame running backs. I mean, now you're talking about Jeremiah Love being one of the first running backs off. Then you also have Jadarian Price coming off the board early. That's what we thought the Penn State running backs were going to be last year. But you know what? There was a lot of drama last year, and there was a lot of hiccups. I mean, it happens. That's why we watch the games. Listen, James People, that's a name you Penn State fans better get used to hearing on Saturdays, because he's going to get the ball, and he's going to go. And you're going to be like, why did he leave Ohio State? Well, there's reasons why he left Ohio State, and that's because of where he was on the depth chart, and they probably didn't want to pay him. And guess what? NIL, transfer money, James People, for the people, said probably, show me the money in a good way. He should get paid. If you're a good athlete, you should get paid. That's the motto of the NCAA now. You're good, you get paid, we'll collect the other $300 million.
You should at least get some carries if you're not getting paid. What's another reason that a running back from Ohio State might go to Happy Valley, Coach Drew?
Well, they had recent success with Saquon Barkley winning a Super Bowl.
I was going to say that maybe a running back from Ohio State goes to Penn State so he can shove it up the Buckeyes' ass. And I guarantee you that is on James Peoples' mind right now.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anything to add to this Penn State segment that we added at the end?
Football season is too far away. That's all I have to add, Coach Drew. I really do believe in this Penn State rushing offense this year, for no other reason than Campbell's going to run it. And they've got 2 veteran running backs that are capable and a guy that wants to be in the system, who could be like USC's King Miller last year when everybody got hurt. He was a walk-on, but he really wanted to be there. You know what happens, Coach Drew? You're a coach. I used to be a coach. You know what happens? You have guys that want to be there. They play hard. They execute. They play team ball. And I see that for Penn State this year. I really do. I'm an Indiana fan. I'm not a Penn State fan first. I have been to Western PA. I do respect the fan base, and I respect the culture of football that they have out there. But this is going to be a good run game this year. If it's not, it's going to be a long year. But honestly, it couldn't be longer than the year they had last year. And last year, culture problems, locker room problems. We talked about that all year on the Midwest Blitz. This year, there's going to be a sense of togetherness, and there's going to be cohesion and scheme. There's going to be guys who want to be there, who want to be a Nittany Lion. And Penn State's a pretty fun place to be if you love football.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have today on the running back rooms. Catch us soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you're still around at this time, if you like us and you want to rate other things in sport games, why don't you head over to our sponsor of this app, the Rate Game.
The Rate Game app, Coach Drew. Rate Game, they're doing a lot of World Cup stuff. They're doing a lot of great stuff. Nick George, our friend at the Rate Game app, he might not be here in person, but he is here with us in spirit. Thanks for watching. Oh, Deacon. Thanks for watching, Deacon.
Deacon, they're coming back. Now that everybody
Coming
else in
back.
the room left, it's just you and me and Deacon. This is some extended footage I'm going to add at the end. This is the Midwest Blitz hidden gem part. If you're here this long, you see how we're just laid back people that have cheap mics and we suck at our jobs. And so that we get more expensive equipment and care more about our jobs, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is an Easter egg.